You're listening to the StudioPTBO podcast, where we talk all things marketing to help you build and grow your business online. Welcome to the latest episode. Welcome to the StudioPTBO podcast. We are back, and we are back at it again, this time with another guest. Neil, how you doing today?
I'm excellent for a Saturday.
I know, this is Saturday. This is surprising.
Cody, we've had some bad weather today, haven't we?
We've had some very bad weather. Tell me a little bit about the weather.
Well, I'll let our guest maybe tell you a little bit about the weather, because we have one of the preeminent storm chasers in Canada, if not the world, in our studio today.
Yeah.
Mark Robinson, welcome to the show.
Thanks. You guys are going to get about 10 centimeters of heavy wet snow. Temperature should range around the 0 mark, potentially a little later on this afternoon, dropping down. Probably a bit below 0. Everything will freeze up a little bit. You want to make sure you get your shoveling done before the freeze up happens. And then by Sunday, you may be getting into some snow squalls.
Mark Robertson, great to have you on the show.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Heard it here.
That's a wrap.
You heard it here.
But Mark Robinson is here today because there is a storm. And when there is a storm happening, and I wouldn't call it a really bad storm, it's an Ontario storm, but when there is a storm happening, this guy is on the road.
Yep.
Chasing it. And Mark, how did you become one of the most well-known storm chasers? Did you always have a passion for this growing up?
You know what? When I was a kid, I was terrified of thunderstorms. Like, hide under my bed crying, terrified of thunderstorms. And yeah, but I think as a kid or as an adult, whatever is or terrified you as a kid fascinates you as an adult. And I think that's what happened with me. It goes way back to one day we were at the Toronto Zoo of all places, and there had been a tornado in southern Ontario. And we were sort of watching this thunderstorm begin to roll over top of the zoo. And my parents were like, run, 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 run. And so we ran from the polar bears to the America's Pavilion, went down underneath the ground, so totally safe, even from tornadoes at that point. And my dad popped open a back door, and we watched the whole storm go by. And I was like,
you made it. You survived.
I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Right? Like, I was like, this is so cool. And I watched it. So I started to get fascinated at that point. And my job, I ended up actually going to the University of Guelph for my first degree in wildlife biology, because I had always been fascinated by marine biology and ecology. And that led me to an office job, and I wanted to open a vein because it's an office job, and I realized this is just not for me. I ended up going back to school for meteorology, because at the time, I had a buddy of mine who's one of the preeminent tornado researchers in Canada. He's like fully accredited. He's like actually smart, as opposed to me. So he actually said, "Hey, dude, why don't you go back to school for meteorology?" And I was like, yeah, all right. Well, so, yeah, okay. So the end of that summer, I was working at this job, and I hadn't told them that I was about to go back to school. I was about to give them my 2 weeks notice. And then this little hurricane that maybe nobody's heard of, called Katrina, started churning in the just off of the Florida coast, came across Florida. And I said, I'm going to go intercept this hurricane. Because I had been doing a couple of years of storm chasing at that point, so I'd already been down and
so you left the office early.
So no, I gave them my 1 week notice and said I'm leaving, and they said okay, and I said see ya, and I literally drove from Toronto to Windsor. To pick up a buddy of mine who had left earlier that day.
Quit his job too?
No, that was literally his job. He's a well-known Canadian explorer named George Karunas. And George, I literally made him stay at my in-laws' place for 4 hours. We'd never met, waiting for me to catch up with him. And then we both drove down to this little hurricane we call Katrina.
Your first storm chase ever?
No, this was actually my second hurricane. But it was the one that sort of went from...
It was your tipping point.
That's when it went from hobby to a job, because I actually was the first person on the Weather Network that did a live hurricane broadcast back to them all through Katrina. Wow. So I would call them once an hour, because we couldn't do video at the time, and I would call them almost once an hour and just give them an update on what was happening. And we got hit by the strongest part of Katrina. So our wind speeds in that were about 270 kilometers an hour, about 150 miles an hour, and like the entire Gulfport where we were just came apart.
So how did you even make it in for the storm? Like, we
just drove it. Everyone else is going this way. We're going that way. So we're seeing 5 million cars going this way, and we're just straight right
You had
down.
the whole highway to yourself.
Whole highway to
People are looking at
ourselves.
you like, what idiot, Canadian idiot is
Yeah,
going?
literally, that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
And we got down there.
So you hadn't even started your gig yet?
I hadn't. That's
Like, you're basically a stringer for the Weather Network?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was literally at that point. I had done some news writing for them, and I'd actually been providing them with tornado footage from in and around Southern Ontario. I hadn't really gone outside of Southern Ontario too much. I've been down to Tornado Alley a couple times by that point, but it was just a hobby. It was just for fun. Like that's all I was doing it for. But I'd give them footage or whatever, and that day they said, "Hey, do you want to do some live hits for us?" And I'm like, "Sure, I can do that." I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah, but you winged it. But
I
you
winged
did
it. I winged it, and it did it. Yeah, but my first tornado actually was in Southern Ontario, just outside of Guelph. It was actually in Campbellville. It was an EF0.
Where you live now?
Where I live now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a great place to choose to live, eh?
Yeah, no. Well, having said that, the second tornado that I missed dropped 100 feet from my office. That day it was the Guelph EF2 in 2001. But I was north of Toronto chasing another storm, and I could have literally sat in my office and watched this thing plant itself in our parking lot. So I get back to the office. I was working at the University of Guelph at the time, and said, and they were like, "You should have seen it. It was right in the parking lot."
Like,
I'm like,
"No." Yeah.
So that just began a long history of me going, "You should have been here yesterday. You would have seen all of them tornadoes coming right down here." And yeah, this is rural Oklahoma, which you go down to rural Oklahoma. It's always
This is fascinating.
It is.
I don't even know what to say.
Like, do you have no fear, or do you you must get such an adrenaline rush from doing this, right?
There is, but there isn't.
Okay.
Because we know, I know it's risky.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and I've said this to lots and lots of people. Would you go scuba diving? Like, have you guys gone diving?
Snorkeling.
Snorkeling.
Not
okay.
scuba diving.
Not scuba.
Yeah.
Okay.
We just snorkeled on vacation. Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to think of something else. Okay, have you guys ever driven a car?
Yeah.
That's the most dangerous part of storm chasing.
Okay.
The rest of it, I've been up close and personal with probably, over 40 or 50 tornadoes by now. I've been through 22 hurricanes, including Katrina, Sandy, Ike, Michael from last year, or not 2020, not last year, the year before. Oh my God. So I've been through so many of this, but the most dangerous thing I do is driving. Almost every storm chaser that's ever been killed has been killed in a car accident.
And why is that? What do you mean? So the wind can just take the car and blow? Oh, okay.
Just driving.
Oh, just driving.
Just driving.
Okay.
Yeah. The only
because you're in such a rush to get there.
No, a lot of them I've just been I'm driving home. One guy, a storm chaser in Oklahoma, was a well-known guy driving down the turnpike in September. No weather, no nothing. Guy going the wrong way on the turnpike. Head on.
No kidding.
And he was killed in the car crash. And because we spend so much time in the car, it is the most dangerous thing we do.
Okay.
And so you take your risks, but you mitigate those risks as much as possible. So if it's in a tornado, if I'm doing a tornado chase, I always have my chase partner, Jacqueline. Jacqueline Whittle is my co-host.
Yeah,
for
I've seen
Stormer.
you two. Yeah, you're great together. Yeah.
Jack is always there, so we'll switch up if I get too tired. Jack does my does the navigate. I don't want to say my navigating because we're I want to make sure this is equal. So Jack, if you're listening to this, I love you. You're awesome.
You suck up.
Oh yes, I absolutely will. So she'll do the navigating. I'll do the driving. She'll check the radar. Any social media that we do, anything that's sent out is sent out by her. Okay. I don't do any of that sort of stuff. When I am alone, because Jack say like
today you're alone covering the storm up the 115.
Yeah. So what I'll do is
don't worry, we got your back.
Yeah. I'll pull to the side now. Do anything I need to do, pull back onto the road, make sure that I'm safe. So usually I pull off at an exit, even a 35-115 between here and Toronto's that 4-lane highway.
Yeah, exactly.
I will be off at an exit. I don't want to be on the side of the road or
get hit
there's
by
a couple
someone
of
who's
really wide shoulder areas.
Yeah.
And I'll
the
pull
115
off on
is a death trap.
Yeah. Oh,
I know you've been in every death trap, but the 115 it's never gotten better.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know, and that's why I'm careful with that sort of stuff. But I mean, I've been chasing tornadoes here in Peterborough. Oftentimes I'm here for for snowstorms. Yeah. But yeah, I've done tornadoes through this area.
Yeah, and you've really crushed on social media. Like that's how I know you through PTBO Canada. We follow you on and I think you have about 30,000 followers on Twitter, and you build a huge following there, probably more so than other areas because Twitter is really for breaking news. So it makes total sense what you do. Yeah. Tell me about how social media has changed your life and your brand, so to speak.
You know what? Like social media has changed the whole game. But it's a weird way in some ways. Like when I first started chasing, social media really wasn't a thing. You know, you'd hear from other people, oh, I caught this, I caught that. But there wasn't this pressure. Yeah. Nowadays, man, I'll tell you,
it's real time.
And it's really hard. When you talk about thunderstorms, you might have 15 thunderstorms going all at once in an area the size of Southern Ontario, just for an example.
Yeah.
And I could be on the one, let's say from here, let's go to Lindsay. Okay, so from here, like it's in Lindsay. The tornado is actually occurring in Peterborough. Social media, guaranteed someone will be shooting this tornado in here. I'm, 20 minutes up the road. And totally don't see it. But of course, everyone will ask, why weren't you there?
Mark Robinson there.
You're the best chaser.
Storm chaser, right?
Yeah, and I get that all the time. And it's like, so there's
So even storm chasers get trolled, Cody. You think it's the most alpha thing, but if you're not right in the storm and you miss it,
where were you?
Because he's a meteorologist, but he should know that.
Yeah, but it's so difficult to nail that one thing. And inevitably nowadays, somebody will nail some interesting thing, and then all the media jumps on that, and it becomes a big deal. And you sort of like think, oh my God, I failed, I missed. But the reality is that before social media, you would have been like, yeah, I got a great storm. Oh, you got a tornado too? Oh, that's great. That's fine. You got something too. Whatever.
It was way easier
nowadays, man, it's like instantly. Like, the other half of it is, and this I think is the really dangerous part of it. Two problems with storm chasing that have come up and have been so in the past, which is money and fame. So the whole thing is, get closer, get closer, get closer, get closer, get that viral shot, get that thing.
I get it.
The problem with that is that if you got people that don't know what they're doing, they're just starting out, you're trying to get better. And back in the day when I started, it would be like, you don't go any closer than a kilometer from the tornado. Don't go any closer.
And these amateurs have no idea.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, man, I'm standing back. I don't want to go up that close.
And you're trying to see that happen,
right? Well, now we're getting people that are literally in the debris stream. And they're like, oh, this is awesome. Look at this Twitter shot. And I'm just like, dude, you're gonna get killed.
So they're thinking they're chasing the dream of a Netflix show or just going viral on Instagram or Twitter.
I think it's a virality thing. If you look at, even what everyone's doing in the online space, like on top of buildings and getting photos of looking down at this like 50-story building.
Yeah, as close as you can to the edge without going.
People are losing their lives because of it.
So how do you not get caught up in that, Mark? I mean, you don't want to die. So you know what? You haven't felt that you've ever pushed yourself to where you shouldn't have been within that radius?
Oh no, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm not a hypocrite when it comes to this kind of thing.
You're honest.
Because I'm like, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, like, definitely, it's pushed me to go closer. It's pushed me to go, to do things maybe I wasn't comfortable with before. But at the same time, I look at it as a slow burn, right? A slow build up. It's like, I take it as I'm going to be patient and slowly build up stuff rather than become a viral flash sensation. And then how am I ever going to top that? How am I ever going to top that one?
Being a one-hit wonder.
Being that one-hit wonder. Instead, it's like, okay, I'm going to provide my followers, my fans with like good stuff. But I'm not necessarily going to, go and try to do something really stupid that's going to get me killed,
Good for you.
Or get me injured, or get the Weather Network car wrecked, or to be quite honest, impugn the reputation of the Weather Network.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a corporate backing for me with the Weather Network. It is an amazing place to work.
What's the insurance policy on Mark Robinson?
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I can't imagine.
$2 million liability.
But here's the funny thing is, I did my whole life insurance thing, and they went through all this stuff. Do you do this? Do you do this? Do this? And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm like, I chase storms. I chase hurricanes. Can't
you just say meteorologist? You don't have to say storm chaser.
No, I'm like, I'm in the public eye. So I'm like, I do this.
That's true. You can't hide.
And here's some of my footage and stuff. Like, he's like, oh yeah, that's not on there. It's not on there. It's not on there. He's like, do you have your diving license? I'm like, yeah, I got my scuba license. He's like, oh. He's like, gotta mark that one down. And I'm just like, really? Yeah. But like I've literally dangled, out over almost a kilometer deep crater in a volcano, with boiling lava just like this down
When's the
below
most
me,
scared
so.
you've ever been when you thought, I think I might die right now? Like, have you had that moment, or you've always felt...
How many moments do I have
Okay,
like that?
so it happens quite a lot.
Yeah, but you know what? Here, the thing with it is that quite often is you never think about it until afterwards, because if you've got a situation where
You can't panic.
where the what is hitting the fan.
Yeah, the shit. We can swear on this
Oh,
podcast.
okay. If you've got the shit hitting the fan, you got to stay, okay, where's the shit going?
Yeah.
And I don't want to be in front of it. So you have to really think really, really quick and have a really good idea of where you're going to go, what's going to happen, and what you need to do. And if you've done it right, you've already mitigated your risks. Right, so you know that if you're going towards a tornado, you've got a south option, and that's the way you go, because most tornadoes go northeast.
Okay,
right?
good
So
to know.
If you go south, you can get away from them, right? So down you go
Cody,
south.
remember this, because
I
you're in
know.
Chatham. You're in
Yeah.
the belt.
Hopefully I have a compass.
You're
on
where in
me.
Chatham?
Figure-
Cody's from Chatham.
Chatham.
Are you
Yeah.
from Chatham? Oh,
Yeah.
I've chased tornadoes in Chatham
Oh,
all the time.
Chatham.
Now you
I
know
love
go
Chatham.
south,
I
because
know,
you always
yeah.
go north when there's
Yeah,
one there.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. My wife's actually from Windsor.
Okay,
So,
I
yeah,
spent
so-
a lot of time in Windsor growing up.
Yeah. Well, I actually was the only chaser on the EF3 a couple of years ago. That when it was coming out of Detroit, hit the Detroit River,
Yeah.
and went from nothing to a full-on ripping trees out of the ground
Oh, yeah.
tornado
That's-
out over top of the river.
Yeah.
And I'm literally on. I think I was on. I threw it up on Periscope or up on Twitter Live, and I'm literally doing the absolute thing you're not supposed to do. One hand on the wheel, one hand out the door, out the window with the phone, yelling at anybody in LaSalle and Windsor. Get into shelter! Get into shelter! We got a tornado happening right now! Right now! Go! 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 Go!
So you had
And,
no idea that was going to happen that bad.
No,
Yeah.
and I talked to the OPPA afterwards, and I said, and they're like,
Sorry.
well, we probably would have let you away with that one.
Right, because you're
you know,
protecting people.
Well,
right?
yeah,
You're
because we
telling-
have
yeah.
a tornado on the ground. I mean, we got really, really lucky on that one, and that it didn't kill anybody.
Yeah.
It went directly over top of my sister-in-law's place. But it had actually gotten the lower part of the vortex had actually gotten broken up by some trees, and so it wasn't that strong when it went over top of Bonnie's house and kept going. The best part of that, though, for me was my in-laws have always sort of laughed. Oh yeah, you're a storm chaser. Yeah, you don't know what you're talking. You're a meteorologist. You don't know what I'm talking about. Earlier that day, I told my father-in-law. I said, Dennis, you might not want to go sailing today because there's thunderstorms coming and there's potentially tornadoes on them. And he's like, oh no, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be
My
fine.
son-in-law.
Everyone.
So he's out on his sailboat, and I'm seeing where this thing's going, and I know he's out on the river. And I do the whole thing. I end up on air like all night talking about it. And I finally get back to my in-laws' place at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I found out that Dennis was okay because I had no idea. That one hit home for me.
Yeah.
Because I did
could have
not
lost
know.
your father-in-law, yeah.
We could have lost my father-in-law.
Yeah.
So then he tells me, he's like, okay, we have a little bit more respect for you because he's like, I saw the tornado from the boat, and then everybody at the LaSalle Mariners club that they were at filmed the tornado going about 100 meters north of them, and it hit the marina just north of them. So they're like, all
Tagged you in the
They're-
post.
Yeah, they're like,
Hey, Mark, look at your father-in-law.
Yeah, they're like,
You were yo, did you not warn him?
yeah, they're like,
You were right.
yeah, all right, you do know what you're talking about.
That's
So,
wild.
So what made you want to get into this? What you could do really anything in the world, like chasing
Oh my
storms.
God.
Like what
I
was there a moment or
Well, I mean, it's a long building thing for me. I'm fascinated by the natural world. I'm fascinated by the extremes of the natural world. So, like, I've been through the Northwest Passage, like almost the entire Northwest Passage. I've gone hunting with the Inuit on the ice floes up near
This
Pond
is for your
Inlet.
show, Storm Hunter?
This is for my show, Storm Hunters.
Okay. Which airs, for those that don't know, on the Weather Network.
Yeah, and if you go online, you go to the weathernetwork.com/stormhunters. We've got there's a bunch of shows up there. Not all of them, and we also have them on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, awesome. Good for you.
Yeah, and we're
And
we're
Netflix is probably coming after you soon.
we knock on wood on that one. There may be a deal in the works. I can't say anything
yeah, that'd
more.
be awesome, man. Makes sense.
Yeah,
Because
and
you've been
then-
all over the world doing this,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I've been all over the world. I've jumped into 4 volcanoes, and when I say jumped into it, I quite literally mean jumped into.
So what do you mean by that? How do you jump into a volcano?
Well-
Like, will you parachute down? No. Do you
actually
walk? Do you
rappelled.
hike down?
No,
okay.
we rappelled down. We rappelled down in 2 of those volcanoes. One of them, two of them were in the Democratic Republic of Congo, in a place called near Goma. And if that is in any way familiar to you, you might know it from the ongoing civil war that's been happening there for 25 years. It was right where the World War I genocide happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I make light of it, but it's actually a devastating place to see.
Right.
Because like we think we know poverty here, and it is.
They're barely hanging on there.
crushing
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also one of the most creative, energetic places that I have ever been.
The people are too, despite everything.
Yeah, despite everything.
Yeah.
The amount of just entrepreneurship and attitudes towards, just like wanting to make something. It's just incredible. But the problem is the corruption is so
Rampant,
crushing.
yeah.
And the infrastructure is designed not to help the people, but to extract resources from the country.
Yeah.
So they're really fighting a losing battle in many ways in this country.
Do you help by bringing attention to? I mean, you can't bring
try.
attention to the politics and
Yeah.
geopolitics, but you can bring attention to the areas of tourism destination.
Yeah, well, that's
at
the whole
some
thing.
level?
Is that it actually is becoming a bit of there's a bit of an infrastructure slowly building for tourism there.
yeah.
So there's a park there called Volcanoes National Park, which is a part of another park called Virunga.
Okay.
Which is a very famous park because it actually has the last mountain gorillas in it. So we had a chance to go to the mountain gorillas or go to another volcano when we had finished filming part of the episode. We finished most of the episode, and our expedition leader had to head back to New Zealand because they were shooting another one in Nicaragua. And so he had to go there and then fly. It's a long story, but the best part of that was we had been under security with the UN. So we're driving around. You
live a surreal life.
Oh, it was fun.
You know that, right?
I
do you wake up every day and pinch yourself and go,
Yeah,
I cannot believe I get to do this?
Yeah, no, I do.
Like the 115 today, that's nothing.
Oh yeah,
Why are you doing this?
No, don't get me wrong. I still love this area. This is this area is an area I know well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty much the polar opposite of Goma. I can tell you that right now. Like, but we were under security with this private security firm. So all these guys are carrying MAC-10s, which are like submachine guns, fully automatic assault rifles.
Yeah.
That was our police patrol that was with us. And so they're driving around, and we accidentally sort of got behind one of the little heavier armed police guys, right? So there's a truck full of guys, and one guy's carrying an RPG. Like,
Do you have all this footage of all that happening too?
Oh yeah.
You realize
We got it all
this is a series, or if it's
it is. It was on the show.
So all this is in the series?
On the show, yeah.
Wow.
So we saw all that. And then we hiked up the volcano, and we actually got taken up on the volcano 5 times in different helicopter gunships. And the final one that we did was probably the most fun because there were 2 volcanoes. The one volcano was easy to get to, and you could actually hike up it, and there's an infrastructure there. So if you ever want to go tourism and see this volcano, it's got the largest lava lake in the world, but it sort of goes up to the top of the crater, and then you have to drop down by rappelling 500 meters down into the crater, and then you have to walk over to the edge of the volcano, and you can actually see the lava lake in front of you. So that was the one.
That scares the shit out of me.
That was easy. That was easy to get
But
to.
once you've done one volcano,
Yeah, it's
they're all
easy.
the same.
The second
Except for the active
The
ones.
second volcano is a little further in, and you can't get there because there's too many rebels between you and where the volcano is. So the UN said, "Hey guys, do you want to? We'll fly you over to this other volcano." And George and I and the rest of our expedition had left at that point, so it was just me and George there. We were going to go see the mountain gorillas, and they were like, "Do you want to go to this other volcano?" And George and I are like, "Yes, please." So we jump in this helicopter,
Like
gunship.
private helicopter.
Oh yeah. Well, no, it's a UN helicopter.
A UN helicopter.
UN helicopter with this badass South African pilot. And he goes, "Okay, I'm going to take you guys up there, and we're gonna fly high up, and we're gonna land in this gigantic crater. It's this gigantic crater." So he takes us over there, lands us in there. We run around doing filming and everything else. I dropped my camera at one point, just cracked the case on it. I managed to hit the one rock underneath the sand. We're at the edge of this volcano, and keep on. There's no railings. There's nobody.
It's not a tourist place. Yeah,
Nobody scouted this. And we're like at the edge, like looking over the edge, like, and it was like, oh yeah, there's the thing, and we're filming everything. I got my iPhone. I'm filming the whole thing. That was great.
Oh man.
And then we're waiting for the guy to come back, and then this crater is about 1 kilometer across. And we thought we saw a couple people come over the edge of the crater on the far side. And we're like, okay, time to get behind the rocks. Just make sure they're not going to see us, because we had a couple of guides with us, and they're like, we're just going to sit behind the rocks here.
Were they snipers?
Just in case. Possibly.
Yep.
They were possibly the rebels. So we're like, we don't really want to get you guys kidnapped, so we're just going to hide behind there. So the UN helicopter comes back. Helicopter pilot's like, guys, I really want to see the crater. I'm like, okay, come on over. And at this point, these people had left, or whoever. They're gone, because as soon as the helicopters come over, they're gone, because these are fully armed helicopters.
Yeah.
Like full on rocket pods and everything else.
So they're like, I'm out.
Yeah. So these guys, so we're like, he's like, oh, come on over. So he walks over and he's like, oh my God, I can't do this. I'm afraid of heights. I'm like, you're a helicopter pilot. He's like, yeah, but I got a helicopter around me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so we're like,
thing. Yeah,
so we're like, all right, that's cool.
driving it.
He's like, that's cool. He's like, so what I'm gonna do instead, we'll put you in the back of the helicopter. I'm gonna open the doors, because this is a troop carrying. This is like a big mill.
So you're gonna film from the open.
So he opens the two doors.
Yeah.
So I got one foot on the 50 caliber machine gun post, the other foot on the open door. He takes off. Right, film the whole thing. It's awesome. And then he puts the helicopter on its side and starts doing this run right around this one vent where the lava was down.
Did he warn you he was going to do
Oh
this?
yeah, he told us that's what we were going to do.
And how are you holding on? Who's holding on to you?
If you've ever been in an airplane, you know those little pick
That's
things?
it?
That's all I've got.
If that pops,
I'm going straight into the lava that's like 500 meters below me. And I've got one foot on the machine gun post and one foot on the door, and I'm filming between my legs, and I'm just like, oh my God, what am I doing here? So then he says, you guys want to go back? We got to go back. I'm getting close to bingo fuel. Got to go back. Okay, you guys want to go high and slow or low and fast? And George and I are like, low and fast, please. So he's like, cool. So he goes around and he comes to the edge of the caldera. And keep in mind, again, it's a kilometer across. Goes about 50 to 100 feet over the edge of the volcano, like this crater edge, and then just puts the hammer down, going down the side of the volcano, 225 kilometers an hour, 50 feet above the trees, and all I can hear in my head is the theme from the helicopter movie, Apocalypse Now.
Oh, okay.
So that's all I can hear in my head as we're just like, like this, and
that's so trippy, man.
So we get back. Yeah. And we land, and we're just like, oh my God, that was the coolest thing ever. And I'm like, so George and I were like, so why'd you have to do it like that? He's like, oh well, you know what? We're right over top of the rebel encampments and some of the charcoal guys, so we want to make sure they don't get a bead on us and start shooting at us.
Oh my God! And you had no idea.
I had no idea.
That you have the most wild life.
That was fun.
It's like, so the Storm Chaser group, is it really a close-knit group? Like the professional ones, do you guys kind of have each other's back?
I mean, we definitely do. I mean, when it comes down to it, there's a bunch of groups, like there's like little teams, right? So we've got our little team and they've got a little team. I mean,
by the way, I keep almost calling you stormtroopers.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah,
a little different.
Yeah. But that's cool too.
There's less white suprimacy involved in storm chasing. But mind you, having said that, there's not a lot of diversity in storm chasing. I can tell that there's starting to be more diversity. There's like it used to be like basically a
like 99%
white male
thing,
and now we're starting to see more women, and
it's becoming a hot sport.
And both good and bad.
Yeah.
So there's different teams and groups that definitely compete against each other.
Okay.
To try to get that good shot. Yeah. But at the same time, if you broke down or if there's in trouble,
they're not going to leave you behind.
Everybody would come and help.
Amazing.
Like it doesn't matter if it's like your biggest rival. I would still be in there to help out as fast as I could, because it's a serious thing, right? Like if you have a tornado coming down the road and your car breaks down, I don't care who you are, you're getting in my car.
Yeah,
totally.
And the extremes you're seeing, Mark, over the years, you've been doing this for how long? A decade now or longer?
Yeah.
So I don't want to age you here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the extremes you're seeing with climate change, is it becoming? Are you noticing how volatile it is?
Yeah.
Or are you so close to it that you don't see that?
I mean, there's a couple of stories here. One of the ones is when I went to the Arctic, I did an expedition through the Arctic, and I was in Greenland. And we went up what we call the Sonderfjord, which is between the Davis Strait, Atlantic Ocean, and I'm going to get the name wrong. I believe it's Kangerlussuaq.
Okay.
In Greenland. And as we're going up the Sonderfjord, there's a bunch of glaciers that sort of dump into the fjord.
Yeah.
And we look up on the one, and you could actually see the edge where the glacier once was. So you could actually see where it had scoured the rock, and then you could also see where the gravel had been dumped at the bottom of the of where this the glacier had gone all the way out to, and we call that the terminal moraine, which means it's the last moraine before it began to retreat. And so you can see this big pile of gravel.
It's almost erosion you're seeing.
Yeah, you're literally seeing it dig out the mountains and then dump the gravel at the bottom. And I was like, okay, that's cool. Except that one of the guides we were with was like, yeah, dude, that was 30 years ago. He's like, that's where that was. He's like, in 30 years, it has gone halfway up the mountain and dropped in mass in a huge, huge way. And he's like, that's 30 years. And it was like, oh my God. And we kept seeing this kind of thing up there. So definitely no question. And then we actually did our last episode that we did for Storm Hunters last year. We were actually in Tornado Alley looking at how climate change is going to affect thunderstorms and tornadoes. Mm-hmm. And so we did the whole episode on that. And now I'm going to not tell you what happens because you have to watch the show.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, actually, what we did find out was that literally the answer is, because there's not enough research. It's also tornadoes are so rare. As much as you've seen it on TV and everything else, and you get this idea that they're everywhere, they're actually not. They're incredibly, incredibly rare. So it's really hard to have a lot of scientific data on that. So they're starting to gather a bit of evidence that Tornado Alley is beginning to shift. It's beginning to shift east and north from where it has been traditionally, which is Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas, Nebraska.
So who's going to get it now?
Where are we sitting?
Really?
And no joke. I mean,
really?
Southern Ontario is actually one of Canada's 2 hot spots for tornadoes.
Wow.
And we may be seeing more and more of them. Especially in the eastern side of Ontario.
Okay.
So that east of the GTA area is starting to see more and more tornadoes. I've actually spent a lot of time chasing in southern Ontario.
Interesting.
In the eastern part, Ottawa's seen multiple tornadoes in the last little while.
Yeah, true.
Good point.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
And so, and the reason maybe we're not seeing as many is because a lot of them are occurring in the middle of the forest. You can't necessarily see them. But because we have so many more people now, and we're starting to build, say, Newmarket and Brampton, like up right into Tornado, our Tornado Alley, we're starting to see more and more.
We're safe
tornadoes.
in Peterborough, though, right?
No, you're actually.
We have the Peterborough Bubble here. As Jay Callahan often says, and you retweet him a lot. So Jay is a phenomenal guy. He's basically our quasi, or he is our local weather guy who just does it amateur, but he does it. He's very good. He's a pro. Well, but he always says, "Oh, here's this big storm coming," and then all of a sudden, no, it's the Peterborough Bubble again. The roof went up.
But here's the thing. Yeah. Like a lot of people think, oh, it's the river, it's the lakes. It's not. What it actually is, it's the big lakes. It's the Great Lakes. We actually have something we call lake breeze fronts.
Okay.
And what that is, if you imagine Lake Ontario, I'm going to try to do this, like you guys can see me, but the audience can't. Imagine sort of Lake Ontario, but then put a bubble over top of Lake Ontario, but extend the actual bubble out from the edge of the lake itself.
Okay.
That bubble that I'm talking about is actually the cold air generated by the lake.
Okay.
And it literally acts as a miniature cold front. So when the storms come along and they hit that cold front, you can get an extra oomph and kick them up that little bit or spin them
just
a little
like that.
bit. And suddenly you'll have a tornado. So, and Peterborough quite often sits on that lake breeze front, or the breeze front's just a little bit north of there.
You're scaring me now, Mark.
So,
No,
so,
like,
Cody, Cody, are you going to go move back to town now, buddy?
No,
Chatham's a great spot for it. That's where a couple of lake breezes come together.
Exactly,
it's like I have done so many tornadoes and stuff in Chatham. I'm going to see while I'm chatting here. I'm going to see if I've still got the pictures from Chatham earlier this year, where I got some of the most spectacular thunderstorms I've had in a long time.
It's a hot destination, Chatham, in more than one way, literally and figuratively.
Yeah. Okay, I almost found it. Hold on. You'll love these. These are gold.
Avery, can you pan in and show the? No, I'm just.
Yeah, this is gold for the Weather Network. That's right near Chatham.
Wow.
God.
Yeah. That.
You took that?
Oh, I took that one. Yeah. I'm trying to look for a good one here.
Can you send that to Neil?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because we'll
put that.
We'll throw it up.
We'll put that on the podcast.
But see, these are great. It absolutely freaks
Have
out.
you been
There's an idea that gives you a bit of sense of scale.
God.
That's a wind turbine.
That is unbelievable,
So
and
you sort of
you're
see
right in
that.
that. Have you been
Yeah.
featured in like National Geographic yet, or shows like that, Storm Chasers, or?
We had the Storm Hunter show on National Geographic Channel
Yeah.
in Australia and New Zealand, which was really, really cool.
I imagine you're starting to get recognized, right? Wherever you,
Like
you're at Tim Hortons today, Subway.
Here's where my narcissism gets to kick in.
Yeah,
so I
okay.
appreciate that. Yeah. I get recognized on average about once a day.
Okay.
Somewhere in Canada.
What do you do with that?
I am
Do you do
appreciative.
selfies, sign autographs?
Yeah, I often do selfies with
because
people.
you're passionate about what you're doing, so you want to educate people about what you're doing.
And I love and appreciate people that want to come and say hi and that watch, and I so appreciate that. I try very, very hard not to be one of those like, oh, don't bother me, I'm busy.
Not yet.
You know, not yet. Give it after this podcast.
Exactly.
That's it.
Well,
I'll be done.
We do have to finish up soon because I know
Yeah,
you got to
sorry.
go. But we're in the brand building business, and you are a brand, Mark Robinson, like onto yourself as a big part of the Weather Network.
Yeah.
Where do you want to take this as far as your North Star? We always ask people, what's their North Star? We know what your passion is: weather, storm chasing. Do you want would your North Star say be a Netflix show someday, a book about your life, or do you think about stuff like that? Or
I
you just
do.
yeah,
I do.
Okay.
I'm actually. I've written one novel so far, which is still in the draft stage.
Okay.
I finished draft 1, and I'm sort of good friends with the writing community in Ottawa.
Yeah.
A
novel
hi
based
Marie,
on
hi Derek.
A novel based on being a meteorologist, a storm
Actually,
chaser?
no, not at all.
Oh.
It's totally something different.
Hey, Mark, aren't you supposed to write about what you know?
I know. It's actually
Isn't that the number one?
It's actually a diesel punk science fiction.
Okay.
So, but at the same time, I'm also working on a couple nonfictions. About climate change and being on the front lines of climate change, and another one sort of based on a lot of the pictures and stuff that I've taken, because I've taken thousands of pictures all over the world.
Yeah.
And a little bit about, like, I want to educate people and sort of do stuff. But I've always loved writing. So that's sort of where I want to go. But I really like, I like being a part of the Weather Network brand. I mean, that's like my big thing is to be a big part of.
They seem like great people there, great
TWN
culture.
Yeah, I've worked for quite a few places, and no, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, Peter, because my boss might listen to this. I actually have multiple bosses, also Chris.
I'd like to thank.
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to thank Pierre Morissette, who owns the Weather Network, for employing an idiot like
No,
me.
this is when you win for best documentary for Netflix or something.
Yeah.
Someday
No,
you'll
I
be
mean-
like, I want to thank the peeps where I came from.
Yeah. No, I mean, TWN's one of the best places I've ever worked for. Really good culture. They really, to be honest, they're the ones that really got the show going.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, they're the ones that really sort of took the chance on doing the show with me as the host. I mean, I had no idea what I was doing.
So Weather Channel's...
If you told me in high school I'd be hosting my own TV show, I would have laughed. I'm like, no, I can't talk in front of people. No.
Yeah, well, you're a natural.
That's a girl.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's just an amazing journey. And where can people who don't follow you, where's the best place for people to follow you? And we'll put this up too in the podcast.
Literally, go to theweathernetwork.com/stormhunters is sort of the sort of landing page for the show.
Okay.
You can also follow me on Twitter, StormHunterTWN. Instagram, it's StormHunter27.
TikTok? Are you on TikTok yet?
Not yet.
Okay,
You would be great on TikTok.
You would crush it on TikTok. No,
you kids get off my TikTok.
Cody and I talk a lot about TikTok. It is aging up quickly. You can engage youth on this, and literally, if you get on TikTok and remember this moment, you're going to hit thousands and thousands of fans, tens of thousands, probably within weeks being a storm chaser.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe.
Your stuff will hit the For You page. Like
please
crazy.
text me when you start it, and you're going to be like,
sure, you know what? Show me how to do it today, and I'll throw myself out there.
It's incredible.
Well, no, it's crazy because like there are people that like are literally like I forget who the creative was. Like when Brady Shear was on our show a couple weeks ago, he had a buddy that literally took the content he was producing on Instagram that was performing okay. It was performing well, and he just posted it to TikTok and he blew up
Times 100.
600,000 followers on the
More!
platform. Yeah. It's crazy. It
Yeah,
just-
do it. Like
Peter,
seriously.
did you hear that? That's that's why I have TikTok now, Peter.
Yeah,
Just in
yeah,
case you're wondering.
exactly.
That's going
And
straight
the
from my-
content's very similar too. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
the Weather Network's on there, but it's just literally leveraging your content, like Cody said, on those platforms. You don't have to do it to the music and all the
Yeah,
memes and all that.
You don't,
tell
you don't have to dance.
Yeah, you don't have to. But if you want to dance in a
want to
volcano,
dance,
that
yeah.
might do better, right, Cody?
Yeah, but
Dancing while rappelling down a volcano.
My buddy has done a guitar in front of the lava with
Yeah.
this whole air guitar with the gas mask on and everything else. So yeah, it's yeah.
Last question: can we save the planet, Mark Robinson? Of course we can.
Well, you know what?
You're
It's
optimistic.
It's not really a question of whether we can save the planet. Like we can't save the planet. We
Okay.
also can't endanger the planet.
Okay.
I know that sounds really weird, but what we can do is save ourselves. The planet's going to be here. We could wipe this planet clean with like a nuclear war,
Right.
And life will pop back up in a couple million years. We won't be here,
Yeah.
but life will be back. It's not an issue. What we're really looking at is saving ourselves. And yeah, we can do it. I've got a lot of optimism about that because I've been all over the world. I've talked to different people, and the amount of entrepreneurship and the amount of people getting into and looking at what we have to do and doing what we have to do is stunning. The time that I've started storm chasing to now, when I was on my way down to a Tornado Alley, we saw like three wind turbines. Now you can't drive anywhere in Tornado Alley without seeing hundreds everywhere.
Yeah.
So
Action is happening quickly.
Action is happening, and
innovation quickly.
And innovation is happening
Yeah.
very quickly. And
Cool.
as much as Trump and everybody else are saying, "Oh, it's a Chinese hoax" or whatever sort of nonsense, guess what? You're a dinosaur. You're being left behind.
Yep.
And I think that's something that
Beautiful to
we
hear.
as Canadians have to do is look at that and say we don't want to be left behind.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the glass half full, mentality about things. Like there is always a solution. You just have to
Absolutely.
find out what the solution is. Mark,
Yeah.
really appreciate your time today, man. Like, thank you for coming in.
To Peterborough and the Kawarthas.
Yeah, no worries.
You just
Hey.
on a Saturday. See, I DM'd him
Yeah.
and reached out, and Mark's like, "Yeah, sure, man. Like, I'm in. The storm's not so bad. I'll come over." And if the storm picks up again, I might have to leave.
And I can just keep going up to my cottage. It's not that far from here.
Yeah. So Mark cottages in Bancroft, and has some roots in Peterborough and the Kawarthas. His brother studied at Trent University, phenomenal school. So it's good. It's great to have you up here, seriously, and finally
no,
meet
it's
you. I
cool.
feel like I know you from social media.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
We tell
Yeah.
people it's like comfort food,
comfort
Cody?
food,
When you get to
yeah.
know people, and
The
you
know,
are
like,
who
and
you
trust.
are on TV and in person, and kudos to you,
Kudos.
and all the best on the rest of your journey.
Oh,
So,
thanks. Yeah, and one quick little shout out to
Yeah.
my favorite wargaming store, which moved from Toronto to Peterborough,
Okay.
so I have to come here once in a
Yeah.
while. So,
Yeah. So shout out to them. What's their
Dueling Grounds.
Dueling Grounds.
And where is that located?
Not very far from here, just down I think George Street.
Okay.
Street.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay,
shout out
cool.
to Dueling
So
Grounds.
it's full of nerds, just like me.
We are going to tag them in the podcast.
Yeah.
Well, and thank you for tuning into the Studio PTBO podcast. Really appreciate your time, Mark, and really appreciate your time, Neil. Sort of, I guess. Yeah. Thank you
Thanks for
tuning
coming in on a Saturday too,
Exactly.
Cody.
Thank you for tuning in the Studio PTBO podcast. We will see you soon.